This is Danny Trejo, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. Keep listening, or I'll take your head.
All right, we are back here at Without Your Head Horror Radio. I am Nasty Neil, along with my cohorts in crime,
Jittery John.
And Terrible Troy.
And joining us right off the bat, someone I've been wanting to have on the show for a long time, because it's actually one of my favorite movies, is a Basketcase. And he's got a hard last name to pronounce, but it's Kevin Van Hentenryck. Is that right?
That's close. Van Hentenryck.
Hentenryck.
Yep.
I feel so bad.
He felt so sure of himself at the beginning. When we first started talking, he was like, it's Van Hentenryck.
It's Van Hentenryck.
Oh, man, it took me to 8th grade to learn it.
All right. This is a true story. I've kept your voicemail here, and I've listened to it. I thought I had it down, and then I forgot to introduce you. But we want to thank you for coming on, because, like I said, Basketcase, this is one of my favorite movies. Just right off the bat, though, like when did you find out that other people were really into the movie? Was it right away, or did it take a little while?
The midnight shows that it did at the Waverly Theater, Rocky Horror Picture Show holds the record, and Basketcase is second. And I actually went to a midnight showing of Basketcase in the early 80s at the Waverly Theater, and there were people standing in line with baskets and doctors' uniforms and blood all over them, and I thought, oh, shit. and that's kind of the moment that I realized that this was more than we had really imagined it could ever be.
Yeah. What was it like, did they notice, they recognize you when you were there?
Well, when I went to that showing at the Waverly Theater, I had cut my hair and I had a mustache. So I don't think most people recognized me, though the couple right in front of me kept turning around and looking, so they may have suspected something.
No, they were showing the uncut version?
That's right, yes.
I know when it originally came out, they were showing the cut version. Did you see that version at all?
Oh, yeah.
Was it really deflating to see that?
Well, as an actor, you're at the mercy of a lot of other powers. And the actor's job is to give the director, as much as is possible, what the director wants. And, what they do with it is out of your hands. But do you know the story about how the directors, how the uncut version replaced the cut version?
I believe it involved did it involve Joe Bob Briggs?
John Bloom, Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah. He was an early champion of the film, and he wanted to show it, but he refused to show the cut version. And it was so popular that the distributor started secretly switching the uncut version for the cut version, and suddenly then it was very popular. People loved it, and it took off.
Mm-hmm. Bob Briggs.
Thank you, Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Before he was like a TV personality at that, and he's kind of helped a lot of the independent horror films. He kind of rediscovered Herschel Gordon Lewis, I believe, and brought back Blood Feast and everything. Did you have any interaction with him?
Not at that time, though. I was in a film called Raptorius, where he plays one of the doctors, so I got to hang out with him a little bit then.
Was he cool? I mean, he seems like he just genuinely loves these kind of movies.
Oh yeah, he's great, and he's like a walking encyclopedia of the genre.
Yeah. How did you just even get involved in the movie? Did you audition for it, or
I was a student at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I was going out with Ilsa, who played the social worker with the glasses in the film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I know this guy who makes movies. You should meet him. So I said, okay. So I went down and met him, and he seemed to like me, and, he needed people to be in his films. So I was in an earlier film called Slash of the Knife, which was never released, but he liked the way I worked, and he, as a student of theater, one of the most important things you're taught is to be professional, to do your job, to not make trouble, all that stuff. And he liked the way I worked because he was working with friends. He'd say, you, put down that light and walk in this door and say, your line. And I said, Frank, use acting students. You'll get better results, and we'll do it just to have a copy of it, just for the experience. And he seemed to like that.
Mm-hmm. And were you a fan of horror movies at all, or was this something like you were into?
A little bit. I was more into science fiction initially.
Mm-hmm. When you first read the script, what were your thoughts of it?
When I first heard the storyline of the plot of Basketcase, Frank called me up and he said, I've got an idea for a film. I wanted to run it by you, see what you thought. And he told me the whole film on the phone. He ran through the script and the storyline. And, I said yes on the spot. I mean, how could I turn it down?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that really sticks out about Basketcase to me is which I didn't even think there were any sets. I thought everything was just filmed, in real locations. But apparently they built the whole hotel.
Yeah.
And was that as realistic looking when you were doing the movie as on the movie? Because it looks like you're in an actual hotel.
That is the great thing about a camera. It's a machine. It has a very particular perspective, and you can control that perspective completely. Mm-hmm. The Broslin Hotel doesn't exist. We started off trying to film at a hotel that was near Madison Square Garden. And you got to remember, this was the late 70s, and New York City was pretty rough, pretty sketchy. We had bums coming up and telling us, I won't steal these cables if you give me $20, So we ended up using an elevator as the hotel manager's office. I don't remember where the staircase was. The rooms were built in Uji's loft. Uji was Ilsa's ex. He had a loft in Soho, I think. And whenever you see the sign for the Hotel Broslin, that was hung on the fire escape of my studio in Tribeca.
Uh-huh. Ah.
So it's kind of a compilation.
Uh-huh. Well, what about, the different doctor offices and stuff? Because, there's, I don't know, they're, really worn down, and there's, so much stuff around. This seems like they're actual places.
Well, that's to Frank's credit. Mm-hmm. Frank is brilliant in his, concept of set design. Mm-hmm. And, the office where I go to see the guy and I show him the scar on my side, that was actually shot at a place where Frank worked at the time called Technique Process, which is a film developing, a specialty film developing house. Mm-hmm. And after hours, and on weekends, we would go in and retrofit the place to look like a doctor's office. As far as the scalpels in the face doctor's office, I don't remember where that was anymore. It was a long time ago. I'm sorry.
I actually read this that some of the stuff was filmed in an S&M bar.
Oh yeah, whenever you see the bar scenes with Casey and I, mm-hmm. or the basement scenes where the father comes down to just before we cut him in half, those were all filmed at a club that was in the meatpacking district. I don't remember the name of it anymore, but we went in there after hours, and yeah, it was dank and nasty, but it was visually right, and they hid all the bathtubs and the glory holes, and we filled it in with, appropriate set design, and it works good.
Yeah. Well, what was the connection there? Did someone know someone who owned it, or how did it come about that you guys were allowed to film there?
Joe, who plays the little guy who's peeking through the keyhole, he worked there, or the connection was his. I don't remember specifically what it was anymore, but somehow he knew the people that ran it or owned it or something like that, and he was able to get us in there cheap or free or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it was after hours, you know.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to take away from the business. It's probably a booming place, you know. But did you run into any unusual people there? I know you said you saw some unusual things maybe, but was there anybody that might have still been there when you were filming or anything?
No, because like I said, it was in the daytime, like on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So the place was deserted when we were there. But I do remember someone in the crew. I don't remember who anymore, but we were bringing equipment in, and somebody said, "Why is there a bathtub in the middle of the floor?" You know, what are those holes in the wall for? You know, and we're, you know, how do you explain that to someone who doesn't know?
Now, you said you were dating the girl who kind of plays your girlfriend in the movie.
No. Ilsa plays the social worker with the weird glasses.
I see. Yeah. Because I was wondering if it affected your relationship with the movie.
No. Ilsa is an incredible human being and a wonderful person to know. As is Terry Susan Smith and Beverly Bonner and Frank and Edgar and everybody. You know, it's interesting because to work at that level, that budget level, it's really a labor of love. You know, you're not doing it for the money or to be famous, or, you know, you're working to produce something that's of the highest quality possible, and you're presuming it's never going to pay off or anything like that. And we had a really great crew, and, you know, we just did whatever we had to do. One of my favorite stories is, you know, we'd be retrofitting the hotel, and Edgar would say, "Oh, we need a door," you know, so we'd pile in his van and drive around the East Village till we found a door that would work, or a toilet, or whatever it was we needed. We'd throw it in the back and drive back, you know. Mm-hmm. It's ultra low budget, no budget.
Yeah.
Negative budget.
Did that add to the fun, though? Everyone kind of being friends and working together to
you become like a family, you know, an extended family, and you're taking care of business.
Mm-hmm. Now, were the sequels, did they have a different feel when you were filming? Like,
oh yeah, of course. We had an actual budget for the sequels, and even though we had some of the suits, you know, looking over our shoulders with their calculators in their hands, we had a budget. So we were able to tell Gabe, go, you know, and it's interesting and fun.
Yeah. Was it as fun with the big budget, or did it lose any of the feel for you as like from the original one?
Well, it does change it. We spent the first film, I don't remember exactly, but had to be close to a year filming it. We'd shoot some footage, and we'd run out of money or film stock or whatever, and Frank would edit together a rough cut of what we had so far and show it to somebody and get some more money, and then we'd film a little bit more and then do another rough cut with the new stuff and, you know, over and over again until we finished it. With the second and third films, we had a budget and a shooting schedule and, you know, people with stopwatches standing next to us, and it's a different way to work. It's just as much fun in a different way, but it didn't have the extended family and going above and beyond feel to it that the first film had, of course.
Mm-hmm. Let's take questions here from our chat room. We got a live chat room going, and Annabelle wants to know: is the club still there? Is the S&M club still around?
Miss Annabelle, I have no idea. I haven't hung out in the West Village in many, many years. I kind of doubt it because Lower Manhattan has become the new Upper East Side, so I don't imagine it's still there anymore.
All right, so we can't film a Dinner in a Movie there. Did anybody?
That's a good question for Frank, though. Actually,
yeah.
Frank would.
We'll have to try to get him on. Maybe you can get him on for us. I don't know. But did any of you guys visit it during business hours?
I don't know. I didn't personally. But I don't know.
John, did you have a question?
It's just like, they got the glory holes. You gotta wonder, But anyways, Sandra Smith from Facebook, she wants to know, did he like all the freaks in part 2, or did it take away from Belial's freakiness?
Oh no, I don't think it took away. I think it added to it. As Annie Ross said, unique individuals, and I think that's part of the appeal of these films is it really recognizes the uniqueness that is in all of us. All of us feel like refugees, like misfits, like freaks in a kind of a way. I know I do, anyways. And I think that's part of the appeal of the film is that, so much of our culture wants to push that uniqueness aside and make us all cookie cutter, the cookie cutter routine. And what we're saying is no, it's cool to be unique. It's good. It's great to be what you are and not what people expect of you.
I really think all the gore scenes are really well done in the movie. Well, I don't know if you were involved too much in the actual gore scenes, but what were the makeup guys like?
Well, you talking about the first film or the second two?
I was primarily the first one, but the second one has way more makeup because you've got all the different freaks in it.
Well, let me tell you a story about the first film. When the doctor that I go and I show him my scar, I forget which doctor that is, but that film we had pizza for lunch. So when they had the torso, the legs are here and the upper body is over there. Frank took the leftover pizza and kind of jammed it into the torso. And so he was saying, this is great. People are getting all freaked out and scared by cold pizza.
Nobody was going to eat it anyhow. So.
That's right. So, yeah, you see what I mean, right? The second two, we had Gabe, who is a genius, and his crew creating this whole army of freaks. It's a very different, approach to it. But it was so cool to, the scene where I'm looking for Belial and they come up through the hatch into the attic and all these freaks are hanging around. This is an amazing thing to work with.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to keep any of the props or anything?
I have Bernini. That's one baby number 6. Belial Jr. number 6. So I do have one. And actually, we had a crew up in my studio in West Kell last week, and we filmed a segment for the box set, which is going to be released in the UK later in the fall. And we did a little segment with Bernini, so you'll see a little bit of him.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is he still in good shape?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Yeah, he wanted Troy to know if he was still in good shape.
Yeah, he is, because I keep him in the dark and I don't handle him too much. The thing with latex is ultraviolet and moisture kills it.
Mm-hmm. Cool, dry place.
Yeah. Are you surprised there isn't, because they have made action figures of a lot of the classic horror movie stuff. There isn't really a lot of Basketcase stuff out there besides the movies.
Merchandise? I'm sorry, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, merchandise.
I've always been on Frank's case to merchandise this. You know, I saw one at one convention. Somebody had, the little erasers that you put on the end of pencils.
Uh-huh.
There's somebody put out a Belial eraser that you stick on the end of a pencil.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Excellent.
But, yeah, I think that would be great. If we do a fourth film, we'll definitely do some merchandising for that one.
Yeah, I have an idea for one, but I don't want to say it on the air in case anyone steals it. So I'll tell you off air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have any interesting run-ins with fans? Anybody make you something or send you something interesting?
Well, when I do the conventions, I meet a lot of people, and they're all very interesting. I've seen posters. I've seen handmade posters from the film from, the Sudan, where people had no idea what the film was about. They were told there's a monster in a basket, and they paint a picture for the poster based on that. You see bizarre stuff at these conventions.
Yeah, that would be
yeah.
I'm a real big fan of the landlord character.
Yeah.
Robert Vogel, I think, is the actor. But was he as much of a character off when he was in acting? Because he just had this presence to him.
Bob Vogel, yeah. What you see is exactly what Bob Vogel was like in real life. That's Bob. He was a very cool guy.
I think pretty much everyone that's living in the hotel, too, just has this, personality to them. Were they all, professional actors? Was anybody in the movie just somebody that was around and they thought, this guy would look pretty good in this movie. Let's get him in here.
There's a lot of people like that around. I was living in an old factory building in Tribeca, and my roommate was like a punk rocker, and we got him and his girlfriend in one of the scenes. When we come back from the Statue of Liberty, there's a punk rocker kind of a guy with sunglasses on. That's my ex-roommate, Brian, and his girlfriend next to him.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, whoever was around, you got a camera in your hand, you need people, you say, you there, come over here.
Yeah. I think that adds realism to it, because then they just look like somebody that would happen to be there, not necessarily a Hollywood actor.
Exactly.
Was there ever a time, you get tired of talking to the movie, or have you always been, cool about talking about it?
Well, there was a long time after we made the film where people, the general population didn't seem that interested. It seems now that there's a resurgence of interest in the film, which I think is incredible for something we made that long ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? Because I think there's people are really into that time period of films, like the early, mid-'80s stuff. Do you think it's because there's so much CGI, or what is it about that time period that people are starting to rediscover? Maybe a new generation discovering, people are looking into it again.
Well, as you say, the CGI has kind of taken over big budget films right now, and so there's a kind of authenticness that's and a grittiness that's it's different now. That's true too, but personally, I think the reason the film is still popular after all these years is Frank Hennenlotter. He wrote a film about how to say this. We all have the public face and the monster that we carry inside. We all have that. We all have the dark half. And that's what he wrote about. That's what Dwayne carries in the basket. The dark side that we're not supposed to show in public. And we all identify with that. We all feel like misfits at some point in our lives. And I think that's what the popularity of the film is about, personally.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you see Dwayne as a villain himself? Because, even though Belial's killing the people, Dwayne's making it possible by taking them there.
No, I never looked at it like that. Dwayne believes that Belial and Dwayne are one entity, one soul, one spirit. And they've been horribly mutilated by life, by the culture, by evil doctors and their father, you know. Mm-hmm. You can't play that injustice. You have to play real feeling. So my approach to Dwayne was always that he's trying to avenge what they did to his brother. He's helping his brother to heal and to become whole again. Mm-hmm. That's Dwayne's perspective.
Yeah. Was a lot of the scenes when you're talking to Belial, it's telepathy, so it's basically just you talking. Like, was that odd to do?
No, not at all. I mean, I've worked with real actors who were pretty vacant, so.
No, I read that during the rape scene that some of the people on set actually left and were offended. What was the atmosphere like when that was being filmed?
Yeah, there was some tense moments leading up to us filming that. Some of the people involved thought that was too gross to present to the public, too bad form, all that. And so Frank decided to cut that, just eliminate that, and have it a closed set. I pulled focus on that, and it was just me. I think Frank was running the camera. I don't remember exactly, but it was me, Frank, Terry, and whoever was doing Belial at the time, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. But after it was done, everyone was cool then afterwards, or? Or did they just leave?
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but...
All right, we'll leave it at that. Lover of Beers here in the chat room. He wants to know, what's your favorite modern horror film?
Modern horror film. Klaus Kaczynski. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but I'm kind of haunted by Aguirre, The Wrath of God. You know that film?
Yes, I do. That's
one of Neil's favorites.
It is, actually. Yes, it is. I had the Klaus Kinski box set. Well, the ones with him, and he worked with the director. This is an awesome movie.
I mean, it's not really modern. That's got to be, 10, 15 years old now?
Yeah, it might even be 20 or 30, but it is an awesome movie.
Yeah, my favorite of all time remains Boris Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Prometheus. I haven't seen that yet. I've heard its visuals are really good on that. Mm-hmm. Anything that Tiffany Seppis is in,
Mm-hmm. Hi there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got to call it. We got to call people online here. Let's 440 area code. Who are you?
Matt Majeski, from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. You got a question for Kevin?
Two quick questions, really. First, Kevin, hi. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I met you at the last when you were at Cinema Wasteland in October, a while back.
The Wasteland, yeah. What a great convention, eh?
Yeah, it really was. I actually got to talk to Frank a bit, interview him. Really great guy. But anyways, let me get to my questions. How long did it take for the makeup artist to make a cast of your face for Belial? Because apparently they had to use your face or whatever for the actual puppet? And my second question is, what was your opinion of the script for Basketcase 2?
Every time we did a film, all 3 times they did cast in my face because we're Siamese twins, so we would have the same face. And I actually have a set of positive plasters from the second film hanging on the wall in the studio.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's a fairly quick process. For someone who is claustrophobic, it would be terrifying because you have straws in your nose and they completely cover your face with plaster and you're breathing through the plaster. It takes, 15, 20 minutes. It seems like longer because of the nature of the process. As far as the script of the second film, the way I heard it originally is Frank wanted to use real freaks, a la the 29 or 30 film Freaks?
Yeah, 32.
And I thought the combination of Frank's sense of humor and real freaks would make a film that was truly disturbing and funny at the same time. And I thought that was spectacular. The suits, the people with the calculators, looked at that and said, "Oh, no, we can't do that. Freaks' rights people will freak out." And so they kind of backed off on that a little bit. But I thought Gabe did a spectacular job in creating the freaks.
Yeah, great guy.
And, it's the whole point of film is the suspension of disbelief in the first place, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's kind of nice, a deviation from the first one. It's like, what, are you going to go to another hotel? Frank
said for years that people wanted to say, well, there was a fourth doctor or there's a third twin, which is just stupid.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you for calling.
That's it for my questions. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Glad talking to you.
Thanks, man.
Oh, thank you. Great to talk to you.
See you. Bye.
248 area code. Who are you?
Friend.
A friend. Okay. We've got a friend on the line. You have a question for Kevin?
No, just wanted to listen. I had no other way of listening. Hit the button.
Is that Carol?
I don't know. You'll have to just go back.
Yeah, well, thank you for listening.
All right, we'll keep her on in the background. Let's see. We got Annabelle Lecter on the line.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey.
Good. How are you? How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I've got a few questions for you. First about the movie. When you first saw the script, did they already have concept sketches of Belial, or did you kind of just use your imagination when you read it?
When I first heard the concept of the film, Frank had called me up and he said, I have an idea for a film. I wanted to run by you and see what you thought. And I spent, half an hour, 40 minutes listening to him tell me the film over the phone. And I didn't see any sort of pictorial depiction of Belial, just a description of what he would be like. And, of course, I said, yes, I'll do it instantly.
So once you saw Belial, was it totally different from what you were envisioning? Were you kind of like, what is this all about? Once you see, like, the prop and then realize that there's, like, the stop animation piece?
Yeah. No, actually, once I saw the Belial, or when I initially saw Belial, it seemed to fit perfectly. The problem we had is the initial script in the scene where I run naked through the streets. Mm-hmm. The original script had that as Belial running through the streets.
Yeah, that was
and when we got the effect, we realized that was never going to be possible. So Frank had to dump that scene and figure out something else to do, and that's when he came up with the idea of me running through the street.
You could have had him in like a little radio flyer, and he just pushed himself along with it.
Yeah, right?
What was that like to be running through the streets totally naked? Or maybe you've done it before.
You know, of course, it worked out. That was like the coldest night of the year. It was in February. And, we did that in my neighborhood, which was Tribeca in the old days, which was pretty much a deserted old factory neighborhood. So, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was cold for a few minutes.
Did anybody that you knew saw you? Was it your neighborhood? Was any of your neighbors seeing you running through the streets? Or did they just think, it's Kevin?
His grandmother's waving to him and stuff.
No, Tribeca in those days was a completely deserted place at night. There was nothing. There was no traffic. There was nobody around. And, So, yeah, it was... of all the places you could imagine to try to film that scene, that was probably the easiest.
Did you have another question, Annabelle?
Yeah, a couple more. Did your personal life improve or did it devolve with this movie experience? Like, were your friends and family supportive, or was this kind of a risky film to get into?
I think at the time, struggling young actor, people were, Basketcase, that's nice. Very interesting was said a lot, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And a couple other questions are about your art and being an artist. Were you always an artist, or is it something you decided to pursue as an adult?
I think a lot more of what we are is genetic than we're currently willing to probably acknowledge or admit to. Mm-hmm. I think I was probably born this way. Mm-hmm. No pun intended, I guess. My dad used to tell a story that I found a piece of tree bark in the lawn. And I said, "Look, Dad, a face," and he didn't see it. Mm-hmm. So I went off and found a marker and a butter knife, and I made it into a face, and I showed him. See, now it's a face, So I think I've always had that propensity towards sculpture. Yeah. I think it's genetic, and I think who we are born with, and, make the best of it, kid,
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever have any urges to sculpt Belial?
I did, actually. I did Belial in a piece of Vermont marble.
Oh, really? Do you have any pictures? Kind of curious.
It's a very early piece, and by my standards today, it didn't turn out very well. But You know what? I'll put a picture of it on Facebook.
Oh, nice.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
We'll put it up on Without Your Head for everybody.
You have to let me know what you think about it, though.
Oh, exactly. We will.
I was looking through your website with your art. Do you find that the dark side that you mentioned earlier inspires your art a lot?
Of course. Yes.
How much do you feel like you let go in your art? Do you feel like you're totally able to release all of that? Because I know I'm an artist myself, and it used to be very difficult for me to kind of do things that were maybe questionable to normal human beings. I got over it, but a lot of artists I know struggle with that.
Yeah, yes, of course. We're a very social animal, and you only have to look to high school to see how severe that social pressure is. Mm-hmm. We're outcast and shunned if we deviate too far from the norm.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Great questions.
Oh, thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope your answer to that some of your family were not too happy with the movie does not make Annabelle not do future projects with her. I think that's why she asked the question. Well, we have a 508 area code. Who are you?
Joe.
Joe, you have a question for Kevin.
I actually have two. What was one of the most interesting things about this series?
Oh, one of the most interesting things about the series is the resurgence of interest in it in the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow. The second question was there any funny stories you had, or because I missed the first time you mentioned the broadcast, maybe I didn't hear them.
Nope.
Oh, there's tons of interesting
Is there
stories.
anything that sticks out in particular, or?
Well, in the first film, when we got I think we got 2 Belials and 1 set of hands.
Yeah.
And like gloves, like Belial's hands has gloves, but they were so small that only 2 people on the crew could wear the gloves, Frank and Ilse.
Uh-oh.
So every time you see Belial's hands moving, it's either Frank or Ilse working them.
That's pretty cool, but did you ever sit there and shake your head, when you first learned about the material, I sit there and shake your head and go, what am I getting myself into?
No, I liked it from the start and continue to, and increasingly so, appreciate it.
You said that the resurgence of people are, in the movies again. Part 3 right now is really hard to find.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's out of print.
Yeah, it's like over $100 like on Amazon or eBay.
Oh, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. So if you have any,
wow.
If you have any copies.
Yeah, if you got a case of them, probably making some bucks. But
so I guess it's a good moment for them to be releasing a box set in the UK then.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know too much about that, but will it be released in the States too eventually?
I have no idea on that. That's, up to the suits and the accountants.
Yeah. All right. Joe, do you have anything else?
Oh, yeah. What was the one, what was one of the hardest things about filming the series, and what was one of the easiest things?
One of the hardest things about film is the fact that it's you don't work in sequence.
Yeah.
You can do a scene from the beginning of the film first, and then the second scene you shoot is from the end of the film. And then the third scene you shoot is from the middle. And as an actor, you have to remember where you were head-wise and emotion-wise, and you have to be in exactly the same place for the pickup, or the cut doesn't match. That's the hardest thing about film. And I'm sorry, what was the second part?
What was one of the easiest things about, filming the series? Kind of like,
Well, I've always thought that Frank kind of wrote it for me because it fit me really well. And I was able to slip into Dwayne effortlessly.
Yeah, I know. I showed the series to my mom. I'm like, I'm worried. Uh-oh. No, she's like, what are they doing? What the fuck? I think in the second one, she's already like, boom, I'm all set. But for most people, they watch and they go, what the hell is this? And you sit there like a deer in the headlights.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the talk to you guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Have a good one.
You too, man.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, you too. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Troy and I are different because Troy and I are brothers, and we grew up. Our mom's big horror movie fan, so that's how I got into horror movies, watching them all the time, renting them at the when they used to have video stores and going to the drive-ins when you used to have drive-ins. So a little different.
Drive-in movies, yeah.
Let's see.
The first time that we saw that movie was at the Hyannis Drive.
Yeah, I was pretty young.
No offense, I'm never going to pop in Basketcase for my mother to watch. I show my mom a Human Centipede. She seems to like it.
No, that was not very nice of you.
I think the only one she kind of questioned me on was when I showed her a Serbian film. I think she kind of thought, what is wrong with him? But
yes, she dropped you on your head as a child, or what?
Let's see here. We got Dr. Chris on the line. Dr. Chris, you got a question for Kevin?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I walked away from the phone real quick. I'm a pretty big fan of yours, Kevin, and it's great talking to you.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you for putting my call through again, Neil.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah, now Neil's going to be coming on my show. I do a radio show as well, Kevin, Dr. Chris's Radio of Horror.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get on a Sunday because I got some stuff to plug. It'll be my last week.
Yeah. It's going to be, when is Days of the Dead?
This coming week. Next week.
This coming weekend?
Well, the weekend out. A week from now.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Next Thursday. All right. Then unless you can come in the studio, unfortunately, we got call-ins. We already got, Adolfo is already calling in, and I got another author calling in.
I'm hanging up on you now, Dr. Chris.
You can come in after. Do the post show.
That's fine. I'm just messing with you. Ask your question.
All right. Kevin, I love your sculptures, by the way. I'm looking at them on your website, and they're really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of them I think is of Medusa. That's the one I really like the most.
Oh yeah, that's on there. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
that's actually a study. I'd like to do that large.
Oh, okay. It's close up of her face, but it looked like snakes in her hair, so I wasn't sure if it was Medusa or not.
Yep, that's it.
I've only ever seen the first Basketcase, but I still really enjoyed it, even though I haven't seen the two sequels.
Well, what are you waiting for, Dr. Chris? You better go out there.
I hear the third one's hard to find.
The third one it's very hard to find. So you got to break open the piggy bank there, Chris.
Hunt them down on Amazon and VHS.
Mm-hmm. I think even VHS copy's pretty hard to get. But
say that again?
I think even the VHS copy's pretty hard to get.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Did you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to say hi to Kevin. That was it.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Dr. Chris.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
You come back.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show, Kevin.
See, we got another caller here on the line, but they're blocking the number, so I'm not sure who it is.
Hey, can you?
Yes.
Hey, Kevin, it's Dave Madison. I just wanted to call and say hello.
Dr. Dave, how you doing, man?
How you doing? You sound great, and I just want all the listeners to know I'm a good friend of Kevin's, and he is not only an incredibly gifted actor and an incredibly gifted sculptor, but he's just a kind human being. He's just a great guy. So I'm really glad.
Oh man, thank you so much.
That you guys have him on your show. He's just a good guy.
Yeah, little action I've had with him. He's been really easy to work with, really easygoing, a lot of fun to talk to here on the show.
I don't know if your listeners know who David Madison is, but he is the legendary creator of Mr. Hush that everyone should see.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate
excellent. That. You want to let everybody know if they're not familiar with Mr. Hush out there?
Well, it's Kevin's show. I'm not.
No, man. Are you kidding? This is the moment. You gotta. Mr. Hush.
Mr. Hush is a horror film that comes out on Blu-ray and DVD August 7th, and will be in Redbox and is available for Netflix queues as we speak, and has got quite a buzz around it. I'm very proud.
Oh, well, I'm really looking.
Hopefully,
and a well-deserved buzz, and everyone should check it out.
Yeah, we had a Mr. Hush Week in the Fear convention that Kevin was kind enough to come out to, and actually he got a chance to see the movie. It was really cool that, not only did we get to show the movie, but a bunch of horror icons were there to see it. So I was really proud of how it all turned out. And my next film, which is a Western, which is probably about 6 or 7 months down the pipe, I would love to work with Kevin on. So hopefully we'll get to work together.
Cool. Well,
I'm keeping my fingers crossed, man.
All right.
I promise you, Kevin, the next time I'm behind the camera, you'll be in front of the lens. I guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, thank you.
And you have this number, so call me back sometime after the show, and we'll have you on, and we can talk about Mr. Hush.
That'd be great. We could have a Mr. Hush show on before it's released, and I can bring, star Stephen Jeffries from Fright Night, and Brian O'Halloran from Clerks, and Brad Lurie, who was Michael Myers, and Steve Dash. It's got a bunch of horror icons attached to it, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, man. Thanks for calling in.
It was my pleasure, and Kevin, knock 'em dead, pal.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Yeah, I got something cooking in September, so if you get a chance to give me a holler tomorrow, that'd be great.
I won't be able to do that till next week, though.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to it, Kevin.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Annabelle brought up your artwork earlier and your sculpting. And
Yeah.
I know you can check out your website, and we'll have the link right up on the page. And it's basicyourname.com, and I don't want to butcher the name again, but it's Kevin Van Hentenryck. Maybe you could tell everyone the website.
Van Hentenryck, KevinVanHentenryck.com, and the website is pretty rough. It's not done yet, but there are some pictures of the sculpture. I also have a lot of the sculpture on my Facebook page, which is under my name, Kevin Van Hentenryck.
I'm just checking out the sculptures. Some of them are gorgeous. I love them.
Oh, thank you.
How long does it take to do, some of those big sculptures out of, such a big piece of rock?
Yeah, especially in stone. I can't imagine how long that would take.
The thing about stone is even though it takes a long time to make, it has a long shelf life. Something that I make in a block of stone can last tens of thousands of years. So to spend a few years working on it, it doesn't, it's worth it. But specifically to answer your question, the Rip Van Winkle, for example, that was carved in public during the Hunter Mountain Summer Festival program. So it took 14 years. If I could work on it full-time in the studio, it's a year and a half, 2 years worth of work maybe.
Wow, man.
Huh. We want to, you go on, John.
I'm surprised Neil's not asking you to make one of him yet.
It's only 2 years of your life, Kevin. What the hell? I'll give you a without your head shirt.
Yeah.
I can't really bitch about doing an hour and a half pen and ink now after I see this.
Exactly. But we also let everybody know that you have a sculpture class, and it's coming up July 23rd to August 4th. You want to tell everybody out there who'd be interested, how would they get involved and what would they get out of it?
That's right. Thank you. Yes, every summer I do a free stone carving class called the Hunter Stone Carving Seminar. It's 2 weeks long. People don't have to come for the 2 weeks. You can come for an hour, for an afternoon, or a day or two, or however much or little time you have available. We teach every aspect of stone carving. We have the stone and the tools in the air there. If anyone is interested, this takes place in the Catskill Mountains in Hunter, New York. And that's, as you said, July 23rd through August 4th. And they can contact me through my Facebook page, which is Kevin Van Hentenryck. And it's the Hunter Stone Carving Seminar. And anyone that's interested in learning the ancient art of stone carving should get a hold of me.
If you're cool with that, I'll put a link up too for your Facebook page up on the site so that they can find easy.
That would be great. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Do you get when you're doing the sculpting, and do you ever want to do some more horror themed things that fit in with the movies, or you just want to do stuff that just appeals to you?
Well, that is the problem with working in a medium that's slow. In the time that it takes me to make one piece, usually I have ideas for 20 or 30 more. So you're always behind the curve conceptually a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Just quick here, because there's a little bit of delay here, but Annabelle wants to know, do you have to pay for materials at the sculpture class?
No, everything is free. The only thing the students are responsible for is their personal safety gear, which is dust mask, eye protection, ear protection, and gloves. And all of that's available locally at a discount for the sculpture class participants.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is.
Do you know if there was any flack from like real Siamese twins or I hate to say real freaks, but anybody that was offended by the film?
Not that I know of.
I might get some tonight.
Kim and Chang has passed on, so I don't know.
Yeah. Did you like the Granny character in the 2 sequels?
Granny Ruth?
Mm-hmm.
That was Annie Ross, the legendary Annie Ross. And just being able to hang out with Annie Ross, that made everything worthwhile. She was, I would pay to hang out with her. She's a very cool lady, very cool human being, and yeah, I love her character.
Yeah. Nope.
Have a nice day.
There's a dialogue in part 2 where they say that you can see the resemblance in Belial and Dwayne. Now, did you ever, when you heard that like dialogue, was a little bit offensive, like kind of basically saying that you look like Belial?
No, because we have the same face. If you look at the face, it's the same features.
Really?
So, but it's just the face,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that now. Yeah. No, something too. Go on.
So many things in life are like that. The closer you look, the more you see.
We kind of hinted on the stop motion. Even though I'm a big fan of stop motion, I love like the old Harryhausen movies and stuff. It is a little out of place in the movie, but it's still kind of cool. What were your feelings like the first time you saw the stop motion in the movie?
Boy, yeah. As you say, it seemed like it wasn't a smooth segue, shall we say?
Yeah.
But when I heard how they did it, I've heard Frank describe trying to do that, because that's an monstrously slow process. It moves at a galactic pace, and I think it works considering what it was. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's very peculiar. It's kind of out of place, but yet it kind of works, and it's something to talk about. It's just an odd part of the movie. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah.
But something too I had to bring up, because I read this earlier today. I did not know this, but that a lot of the names and the credits aren't real. That like they were made up because there wasn't as many people that worked on the film, and so they wanted to add a bunch of like fake names. Do you know if any of those names were like in jokes with anybody, or like how they came up with the names that they put in the credits?
Yeah, that's a good question for Frank. I don't know that. I've heard that before. Yeah, there was like 6 or 8 of us, most of the time, and yeah, so he wanted to make it seem like a real movie, so that's why he did that.
Yeah. Well, before I let you go, you said like 6 or 8 of you. I know it's a different time, but like, do you have any advice for like somebody out there who like had a group of friends, or, creative people that wanted to, do their own movie or something? Would you have any advice for them?
Yeah, actually, I do. You hear a lot of people say, I want to be a painter, or I want to be a director. Don't do that. You say, I am a painter, I am a dancer, I am a director. And if you want to do something, if you have a passion, doesn't matter what art form it is, dance, film, music, whatever, pursue that. If you're a filmmaker, make film. Be always making film. Just keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Mm-hmm. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. This has really been one of my favorite interviews.
Well, I want to thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we'll have the link to the website, to the Facebook, everything up there. And maybe when the trilogy comes out, we'll have you back on and we can talk about that. If someone maybe in England actually would send us a copy. I don't know how that will work, but
got to get that released in the States.
Yeah. We'll rally behind it to get it released in the States.
Yeah, we'll have to work on